This chapter wraps up the volume and does a nice job of really just kind of leaving you yearning for more and just finding out about the rules of this second phase.
Naruto number 45, the second exam.
Well, hello, my brothers and sisters of the Nerd Nation. I, as always, am Jim, here to bring you another review on the awesome and awe-inspiring, Chunin exam-driven tale of Naruto. Our last chapter saw us with, of course, things ending up in Ibiki explaining what the first phase was all about in the 10th question, and I thought it was very cleverly done, and just really, really was excited about the next phases, because I was thinking, if the first phase is this cool, man. And then we were introduced to the second phase examiner, Anko, beautiful young lady, and actually, I kind of bashed her a little bit because of her initial appearance, and I'm gonna cut down everybody by half and this and that. But you know, she was kind of an unnecessary hard ass, possibly. But nonetheless, though, we see in this chapter that doesn't really seem to be the case. She seems to be tough but fair, and I understand now why she said that things would be cut down by half. So, and then of course, that things left off with this double-page spread of the second phase is going to take place in the Forest of Death. You know, so that's how things left off. That's where things pick up, and this was a cool chapter, a very good set-the-table type of chapter. It starts out, and she's explaining, you know, the Forest of Death, and you don't understand, and this and that, you know, and how it's so evil and terrible. And Naruto's like, yeah, Forest of Death, yeah, okay, whatever, I'm not buying it. You're just trying to make us scared and nervous and everything else. He figures, hey, you're just trying to play with our heads, right? So, she's like, oh, really? She goes and pulls out a kunai, right? And you just see in this one fell swoop motion, right? And then all of a sudden she goes, and you hear, and then next thing you know, she's behind Naruto, and you see that she has busted open his left cheek, right? And she's like licking the blood that's coming, slurping the blood, the juicy red blood, like she's some kind of freaking messed up vampire that's coming from his cheek, right? Then you go and you see behind her this dude with, he's got this cool looking hat on, like Raiden from Mortal Kombat, and dude's got like a tongue that would make Gene Simmons shit his pants, right, from Kiss. Anybody who doesn't know who Gene Simmons is, just go and Google that motherfucker and look at that dude's tongue. He actually went and had the bottom part underneath cut so it would be longer and pull out, and the dude can probably lick his own asshole with his tongue. It's freaking gross. Anyway, this dude that they don't introduce has picked up her kunai that had the blood on it, right? And licked that clean, of course. And he's like, oh, here, you lost your kunai. But he's handing it back to her with his tongue. So I don't know who this guy is, right? And they don't really tell us. They just show us towards the end. And I'll read, you know, kind of what group he's with, right? But it's still sort of mysterious. But this dude is crazy. And then she goes and she even says, she's like, listen, she goes, don't make me have to go and kill you. Don't just stand behind me with your bloodlust and whatnot. Don't make me have to, and oh, sorry, this and that, you know. So clearly there is some crazy motherfuckers in this exam too, in these cells, in these 26 teams that are left. This guy at least is, I don't know, I just got a feeling that he's hardcore, and that he's gonna be a real pain in the ass. And again, I don't remember really seeing him or being introduced to him at all, whoever this may be. So I just know that, like I said, dude's got this long tongue, picked up the kunai off the ground with it. And she's a little crazy too, man. Who'd be you be cutting up the students and licking their face, you know, or licking the blood that's coming out of their face. Sorry, I sound like Bill Cosby now, you know. The blood just comes and just licking it. And why is she licking it? I don't know. Just licking the blood. But, so we go and we get a breakdown then after that. She starts to hand out these consent forms, right? And I love this. This is great, you know. You're in this fictional world, and they live in this village, and everybody's coming to do this test and whatnot, but you gotta, for insurance purposes, you gotta cover your ass, right? So she goes and breaks out these consent forms, and she's like, these all need to be filled out and turned in, obviously before you can, you know, start the second phase. And it's really just so it releases, you know, the Leaf Village and anybody who administers the exam and all the examiners, that sort of thing, from any type of wrongdoing or liability, should you, you know, become injured or dead or one of the other, you know, sort of thing. So, and she goes and she was like, I'll explain the second phase, right? So the second phase is cool, right? You got 26 teams going in. They show this overhead view of it. There's this fence that goes around this approximately like 10 kilometers, which says 10 kilometers to the center, so maybe it's 20 kilometers wide, but big-ass fence that goes around this area. There's a forest, there's a river. In the center, there's a tower, right? Very cool stuff. 44 gates. You can start at any gate you want, okay, to go in. You got 5 days, right? You got 5 days, each team goes in with a scroll, right? Either a heaven or an earth scroll, okay? To pass, that team after 5 days has to get to the tower and has to possess one heaven and one earth scroll. I almost said heaven and hell, but anyway, heaven and earth scroll, right? But it's like, oh, heaven and earth. Anyway, so the idea is, and you can use any weapons, any means necessary to get the other scroll that you would need. So, but the thing that's cool about it is out of these 26 teams, you don't know who possesses the scroll, number one. Out of the team, you know, the three cell, whatever, 3-member team cell, and you don't know whether they have a heaven or an earth one. So if you've got an earth one and you need a heaven one, you don't know which teams have the heaven ones, right? So it's basically like a free-for-all, crazy frickin' thing in here. 5 days, you know, you cannot come out of here. And to be able to pass, you not only have to have the heaven and the earth scroll, but you have to make sure that you did not open and look at them. I'm not sure exactly how they'll know. They're probably sealed in some way, shape, or form. And the whole reason for that is because obviously you might be tasked with sensitive information on an espionage type of mission. And, you know, bottom line is you got to listen to follow orders. You know, if you're told not to look at something, you cannot look at it. And on top of that, you have to show up with all 3 members of your cell, your team. Nobody can be badly injured or, of course, dead for you to still pass. So it's very much a team type of thing, you know. So this is cool, man. I mean, this is cool. This is straight up, oh, man, this is some demonic shit or whatever, you know. And for those that draw comparisons to the Hunter exam, that 4th phase and everything else, there's some similarities, but ultimately at the end of the day, to me, it's not enough to make it really be relevant whatsoever, you know. This type of thing I have seen in TV shows. I have seen in movies. For instance, The Hunger Games, very popular right now because of the books obviously being adapted into movies. A very similar setup, you know. And, I mean, I've seen things all throughout my life, my 35 years on this earth, where they, you know, put a bunch of people and pit them against each other in some sort of arena, smaller, larger, whatever. And the neat thing is that only at most 13 teams could pass. So that's why I now understand, and I kind of take back what I said about her being this hard ass and just unnecessarily wanting to cut it in half. It's going to be cut in half or less. I mean, the maximum amount of teams that can pass is 13. There's no availability or way to get extra points or be able to pass without them or whatever, you know. And it'll probably be less than 13. You know, Sakura actually points out that'll pass because of just because the way things work out. You know, say you go and take out a whole other team and you go and you get their scroll. You've got a heaven. It's a heaven. Now you got 2 heavens. You know, you wind up getting an earth one and you wind up passing. Maybe you got 3 scrolls. Well, that screws another team out of being able to have the possible heaven one that they needed. So. Just an example, but very, very cool stuff. So we kind of get a whole thing where everybody fills out their forms, turns them in, and they hand the scrolls, of course, in secret. As they go into this hut, only one team goes in at a time. When they come out, you don't know whether they have a heaven or earth one, and you don't know what team member has one. And that's mainly for purposes of teams that are looking to kind of go and spy and poach on other teams and say, hey, this weaker person or this person, that's who we're going to target, you know. Whether teams decide to stick together, whether they split up, you got to sleep with one eye open. You know, and Naruto's like, well, what about for food and water? And she's like, hey, listen, you know, the bounties of the forest, you'll be able to find what you need to eat in there. There's also, though, deadly and poisonous insects, plants, wildlife, and then, of course, just your, you know, animals and beasts and such that would be in this huge frickin' place. And you can't leave. There's no breaks. There's no potty breaks. There's no coming out. There's no, hey, I gotta get bandaged up. I got bit by a bear. You know, there's nothing like that. I got gored by a fucking bull. None of that type of stuff, right? So, very, very neat stuff, and I thought that it was great. So they go and they show us, and here's that dude with just a long-ass tongue, man. I don't know who that guy is. But anyway, very cool stuff with him. So then they go and they show, of course, all of the teams as they're lining up for the gates and getting ready. You know, you've got Gaara and company from the Sand folks. You've got Lee and Ten from there. You got the Village of the Sound guys. You got a bunch of them. You got Kabuto's team over here, and you remember he's the smart one that kind of knows a number of different things. Then they go and they show these dudes, right, and Mr. Tongue and his friends over here, and they look pretty badass, man. Target the rookies first. It looks like we've got carte blanche to pick them off from here on in. From here on in. Maybe, which should make our job a lot easier. And they're going in through Gate 15, the mysterious Kusanin Grass Ninja Trio, right? And it's cool because it says down here that the stuff that it says there, the tags on that from right to left reads crime, evil, and punishment. So that's pretty straight, man. That is some pretty cool shit right there, you know. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing them. And as I said, the neat thing about being able to go and choose which gate you're going to go into and everything else. You know, it's neat because you can kind of pick your poison on where you want to go in. And you got 120 hours, so you got 5 days to do this. But I mean, think about it. Trying to sleep you can't stay awake for 5 days. I suppose you could, but it'd be pretty difficult. You'd be probably freaking hallucinating by the 3rd or 4th day. You know, I think I've stayed up for like 60 hours straight before, and it was not pleasant at the end. But nonetheless, though, I mean, you got to have somebody on lookout, you know, and head on a swivel, man, if you got somebody trying to sleep. I mean, there's obviously a lot that can be done with this, and I am so looking forward to diving into it. So that's how the chapter ends off. It ends off with, obviously, you know, it's about to begin, and then you've got Naruto, of course, you know, big balls over here. All right, let's go, you know. He doesn't fear anything. And I forgot to mention, too, in the last chapter, at the end of it, I thought it was cool, after everybody leaves out to go to the second phase with Anko, Ibiki goes and looks at Naruto's sheet with his 9 questions on it, and he didn't fill out any of them. And he goes, man, that kid is, you know, he's really special. He's got some balls to think that, to figure, or to have that much confidence. Because remember, Naruto's the one that spoke up and said, I'll take the 10th question. Yeah, we're going to do it, right? You're not going to psych me out. He didn't even attempt to guess at the first 9. So he thought that was, I think he had like a lot of admiration and respect for someone that goes and thinks he can pass a phase of a test or an exam without even putting out any answers, you know. So was it foolish, or was it, hey, I have that much confidence in myself that I'll be able to pull through, my teammates will be able to pull through, and we'll be able to prevail? Thought it was very cool stuff, though, and thought it was worth mentioning. Chapter question, though, brothers and sisters, is really, what are your thoughts so far on what's been explained to us on the rules of Phase 2? And then certainly, too, this mysterious character from the Kusanin. I really think that, I don't know, like I said, just looks like it'll be somebody that'll play some importance, maybe down the road, maybe in this particular arc, not sure. Haven't read ahead, so don't spoil me, but let me know what your thoughts are in the comments down below. Feel free to hit the thumbs up, the like button if you should think that I deserve it. Or, you know, subscribe if you haven't done so already. We will look forward to catching all of you in the next one, Nation.
So remember to follow me on my other channel, as well as Twitter and Facebook and even Instagram.